everybody, welcome back to my channel. I have a cute quick tutorial for you today. I knew I had to do this as soon as I saw it. Shamballa's had a few patterns that have just come out where I'm like, ooh, I want that, and I want that, and I want that. And this is one of them. This is the Alma Bonita. It is just a cute little wristlet pouch. I absolutely love it. It was fun. It was quick. It would be great for all those craft fairs, all those quick presents, Christmas, all that kind of stuff. I absolutely love it. So beginner pattern. This would be great for you guys who are just getting into it. This would be a great pick for that. All right, so the things that I used in this tutorial, I have all Tulip Bee. It's all Tulip Bee material except for my zipper pocket checkered print canvas, of course, because I always have to use it, is from Wonderground. All the hardware is from me except for this awesome wristlet hardware. This is something that Leslie over at Jolie Lee Creations invented, and it is fabulous for wrist straps. So I do show you how to make and install that. Okay, so I interfaced my leopard print with a woven interfacing first because it has a stretch to it, and I feel like it just makes a really good bag for this type of vinyl to put a woven on it first. The rest I did not. I pieced it together, and then I fused Decaville Light front and back. I wasn't sure if that would be too much or just enough. I think it's perfect. I would probably do the Decaville Light again next time I make it. It makes for a great shaped little wristlet pouch. Unzip it, and inside I did a slip pocket, and then I did a zipper pocket with an overlay. That part's not in the pattern. I just really wanted to be able to have a nice clean lining, so I did the double turn thing. It made it a lot easier. So I do show you that, but either way works. You can just leave a hole in the lining too and skip the zipper pocket if you want to make it even, you know, more simplistic. Totally an option. But you guys, I would carry this. I would carry this. This is perfect. I mean, it would hold all my necessary items. It's nice and big for phones. Yeah. It's a great pattern. Go check it out, you guys. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'd really appreciate it. And I hope this tutorial helps you. I hope you guys enjoy it. Go grab this cute pattern. It was such a fun make. It was a nice refresher. I've been doing a lot of big bags lately, and sewing up a little wristlet pouch was like a palette cleanser. I really loved making this, so I hope you guys love it too. All right, let's start sewing this cute bag. All right, let's go over our pattern pieces for this cute little wristlet. I have them all clipped to their coordinating pattern pieces to kind of keep it all in order. So your front panel pieces are labeled 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, and that's the order that you're going to be piecing them together. So just pay attention to that. So I have my front panel. It says front panel 1. I have my front panel 2. And these are not interfaced. I'm using vinyl. The only ones I interfaced right now are my leopard print vinyl because it has a bit of a stretch, and I have found it makes a really good bag if I put a woven interfacing on that. But other than that, these are not interfaced yet. Then I have my front panel 3 piece and my front panel 4. Okay, so those are all going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. It'll be easy. And then I have my top band for the front, and that's piece D. My bottom band, there should be 2 of those, okay? Front and back. And then my back panel piece is this piece. Those are all of our like exterior main panel pieces. And then on top of that, you will need a wrist strap piece. I'm doing mine a little bit different than she has in the pattern because I have these awesome key fob wristlet hardware from Jolie Lee that I'm going to use for my wrist strap. And I'll show you how I do that. It's so easy. Looks amazing. yeah, so we're going to be making a wrist strap with those. So along with that, I have my D-ring connector. I made it a little bit longer than what she has in the pattern. Hers is pretty short, and I just wanted to make sure I had enough to stick in there. So I probably lengthened it by 1/2 to 3/4 inches. I will be putting Decaville Light down the back center of that because I just want to make sure that where the weight of the bag is pulling, that there's some extra stabilization. And then I have my zipper tab there. Okay, for the inside of the bag, I am doing a zipper pocket and a slip pocket because I feel like I want it. And also that if I do a double pull through for this bag, because I'm using vinyl and Decaville Light, like I'll need that extra space in the bottom of the lining. So I will be doing a double pull through. All right, so I have my zipper pocket pieces. I just kind of took a zipper overlay template of mine that I have from another bag. It's 8 inches long, and made pocket pieces for those. Okay, just guesstimated on those. I'm doing this slip pocket as she has in the pattern here. And then I have my bias strip, which is the top of your slip pocket piece. I have my 2 lining pieces cut out and ready to go. This is just bonded nylon, Smoothie Smooth from Tulip Bee. I'm pretty sure all of my materials are Tulip Bee except for the checkered, it's Wonderground. And then I have my 2 pieces of Decaville Light. I will be pressing these onto my front and back main panel pieces after I've pieced them together. Not quite sure if it absolutely needs this Decaville Light. It might be good with or without if you're doing an all vinyl bag. So I'm sure I've already discussed that at the beginning of this tutorial. So I won't go on much longer about that. All right, so those are all of our pieces. For hardware, you need a D-ring. Okay, I have a 3/4 inch D-ring. I'm using this key fob hardware from Jolili. I love it, so cute. I have my 2 zipper pulls. I have a top and an inside. These are new ones that I'm going to be carrying on the website. They're very cute. They say handmade. Zipper tape and my little nameplate. I think that's all the hardware that you need for this bag. And we're there. Okay, let's start sewing this up. I'm going to go a little bit out of order. I'm going to do the wrist strap and the D-ring connector first and just get those out of our way. So I cut mine to a full 3-inch wide piece. It's going to be 3/4 when we're done. And just because of the hardware that I'm using. So I'm going to fold my raw edges in once, and then I'm going to fold those edges in one more time and top stitch down both sides. And because of the hardware I'm using, this is the best way. This is how it's intended for that hardware. It needs to be a little bit thicker to fit in and screw into the hardware piece. Okay, and then I will just fold that together, and I'm going to sew down both sides. Helps if I put my foot down. I like to come down the same way again, just so my vinyl doesn't twist. It really does help with straps. Beautiful. And then I'm just going to fold this as well, my D-ring connector, and top stitch it. Beautiful. I'm going to go ahead and get my D-ring and just baste that on. Okay, just like that. So that's all prepped. Put that away. And then I will show you how to do this key fob. It's very simple. You got this piece and 2 screws. So all I'm going to do is take my wrist strap here and I'm going to baste these 2 raw edges together. Fold it over. Simple, easy. And then I'm just going to put it in. Make sure it's all the way in there. And then we're just going to install our 2 screws. If we wanted to make sure that this went in easy, dig out my stiletto here. You can always pre-poke a couple holes, right? Stab it with your stiletto, and that'll just help with the installation of the screw. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay. Screws are in. Wrist strap is done. How cool is that? Beautiful. Okay, we're going to piece together the front side of the bag. I have my pieces all laid out here so I can grab it in the right order. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 here, and then you have your top band and your bottom. So I want to grab pieces 1 and 2 first. Okay, these are my 1 and 2s. And we are wanting to sew those together. So I'm going to flip them right sides together. I'm going to line up this right side edge and clip those together. And then I'm going to sew along that with my seam allowance that's in the pattern. I want to flip that and open the seam. You want to open the seam and make it flat, and we're going to stitch down each side. Okay, top stitch down each side with that seam flat. Okay, so now you want to take piece 3. And we are going to put now those 2 right sides together here, and we're sewing along this straight edge. And they should match up in height. Okay, there shouldn't be one bigger than the other. These 2 should line up. And now we're going to sew along that edge. Then we want to open this seam and do the same thing and sew down. So I will warn you, because this is a little bit bulky right here, when you top stitch along this piece on the right, this pink piece, your foot wants to kind of move out of the way of this seam. So you need to be really careful about that. I'm wondering if I can trim this down just a little bit. Maybe like that. That might help. All right. Top stitch. I'm going to go slow, especially by that little bulky part. Beautiful. Okay, and then I'll stitch down the other side. Okay, and then we want to add piece 4, which goes there. Straight sides. Make sure all your pieces are laying correctly when you are attaching everything. There is a gradual taper, so make sure those end pieces are laying correctly. All right, and then again, we will flatten that seam and top stitch. Okay, so that's now our middle section. I want to next add the top band piece, which is this piece right here. Okay, if you want, you can mark your centers. That might be the best way to make sure it's exactly lined up and where it needs to go. So I'm going to go like that, like this, just a little notch. Again, there is a taper. It's smaller at the top, wider at the bottom, okay? I'm going to take these 2 pieces right sides together and sew along this edge. Okay. And then with this one, we are flipping that top band up and we are top stitching along the top band. Okay, we're not flattening that seam out this time. It's too bulky to do that. Beautiful. I need to check my bobbin real quick. I can hear it clanking. Ooh, she was close. All right. Okay, so after you have that top piece on, we are then going to add our base piece. Should be, yeah, it's pretty even. You can mark your centers and go from there if you want to, however you want to do it. Okay, here we go. And again, with this piece, we are flipping it down and we will sew along this bottom piece that we just put on. So we're sewing along the base piece through all the seam allowance, okay? Go slower over where these seams meet because it's a little bit more bulky and you don't want your top stitch to go all wonky. Okay, so that is my front. Oh, that's cute. That is my front piece. I'm going to piece together my back. So for the back, there's only 2 parts to it. Super easy. Okay, we're going to take these 2 pieces and sew them together. And I think, real quick, well, they should be the same length. Yeah, they're good. Okay, same thing. Okay, flip it down and top stitch along the base piece again. Beautiful. And there's my front and back piece. Like I've said, I'm not sure. I think you could either put Decaville light on or you could leave it just like this. It depends what kind of structured wristlet style you want. I'm going to go ahead and fuse my Decaville light pieces that are out of my seam allowances on these 2 pieces. And then we'll finish putting on our nameplate and basting on our D-ring tab. Here's my main panel. I went ahead and put on my Decaville light on both pieces. There is a guideline for how far down to place it, so make sure you follow that. It's on your pattern pieces, okay? Measure down, mark that line, and that's where your interfacing goes. So I have that installed, and I put my little nameplate on right there. You can put it anywhere. I think that's a cute spot for it, though, like she has. The other thing you want to do for this front panel is baste your D-ring on. So again, on the pattern piece for this top band, there is a marking for your connector placement right there. Okay, so I am just going to baste this on. I'm going to leave a little bit of an overhang. I did make my D-ring connector a little bit longer so I could do that. All right. If you didn't do that, then you just line it up to the edge. Okay, and then I'm just going to baste this connector right here. Beautiful. Easy. Okay, and then my front and back pieces are all done. I'm going to set those aside, and instead of going to the lining just yet, I am going to get my top zipper folded and out of the way. We need to do that 90-degree turn on your zipper and then attach the zipper tab piece. Let me get that out. Attach my zipper tab piece. Okay, so I'm going to do my fold first, and then I will make sure the zipper is at the correct length before I put on the tab. So I'm going to just install my zipper here. Okay. All right, beautiful. And then I like to mark a 1/2 inch evenly down to do my turn. So I've got my marking there. I'm going to pull it apart, and I'm going to take it and pinch it on that line. And then I bring that pinch and lay it right underneath my teeth there. Okay, right there. And then I like to put a little pin, straight pin, and then I'll baste it. Do that on this side too. So at that line, I'm going to pinch it, and it pulls up under the teeth. Okay, I'm going to baste that. And make sure when you're basting, you are staying along the edge of the zipper. You don't want to go really in farther because you don't want it to show on your bag. You don't want your basting stitches to show. Okay, so I did it right along the edge there. I know it's hard to see with black on black. Okay, same thing here. Beautiful. Okay, so now I want to measure. She gives you the measurement of how long your zipper should be exactly when you're done turning the edge over. So go ahead and cut it down to that length if you need to. I always give myself a little extra wiggle room so I can trim down to the correct size. And then make sure you melt those edges of your zipper. And then I'm going to take my zipper tab now. I'm going to lay it right sides together with my zipper on the end here. And I will sew across that with my seam allowance, which let me double check my seam allowance for that. Yeah, same seam allowance we've been using, okay. Okay, I'm going to fold it, and then I'm going to fold it again behind. Okay, so you're folding it over and behind. Now you want to top stitch along the right side of your zipper. And by doing that, it'll catch this back piece and then you can trim the back piece. There's lots of ways to do zipper tabs. I do like this method. I think it's a great method because you do not see the back side of your zipper when your bag is all done. And this also makes it so it's not crazy thick and that you don't have a raw edge on the front. So I think it's a great method. And then you just trim this back one down as even as you can. All right. Beautiful. Okay, there is my zipper all done. I'm just going to put that to the side. I like to just get it out of the way. So when we go to put the bag all together, it's all done. All right, we're gonna head to our lining. I'm gonna start with the slip pocket here. I'm gonna do it just a little bit different than she has in the pattern. I'm just doing it my own way that I like, my preferred method. Totally up to you how you wanna do it. This is the same pattern piece that she has in the pattern, so I didn't change the size of it. I'm just changing the way it's assembled. So I marked a 1/2 inch line in from each long edge, and I'm just gonna fold my long edges to that line evenly. This is just my preferred way. I think it's easy. It looks good. There's lots of ways to do one thing. So there are lots of different slip pocket methods. Try them all. Figure out which one you like the most. All right, so I did that, edges, and then I'm going to just put another piece of tape along the top edge here. And then I'm going to fold my raw edges up. Wrong sides together, right sides out. You could also just baste this instead of putting tape. I just feel like the tape's pretty easy. Okay, so it's like that. And then I want to put my trim on. So here is my, or she calls it, I think she calls it a bias piece in the pattern. It's your slip pocket trim, okay? I marked a center line. I put tape on each side. And I'm just going to line this right below that line as evenly as you can. And then fold that over. And you've got a nice little cute slip pocket. I'm going to top stitch this on, okay? And then we will attach it to our slip pocket piece. Or our lining piece. All right, here we go. The trickiest part with this fold over top piece is making sure that you catch the back too, which it went off. I mean, it still caught it, but I'm going to just do a double row of stitching and that'll solve that. Okay, so now we just place it and sew it onto our lining piece. Let me get all my little thread tails here. I'm going to do some melting. Okay, beautiful. I like to put a little piece of tape on the back bottom of the pocket, just so when I place it onto my lining and go to sew it on, it doesn't shift or move. All right, so here's my lining piece. I've already marked my center, top, and bottom, and then I marked the placement that's in the pattern right there. So I've got it all marked and ready to go. So I'm just going to take my slip pocket piece and center it. I just like to fold it in half like this. Make sure it's lined up on that top line. Press it down. Beautiful. So I'm going to sew down, across, and back up. Okay, there's my slip pocket piece. Looks good. I'm going to set that aside. So this next part that I'm doing is something that I'm adding. This is not part of the pattern. So you don't have to do this if you don't want to. I'm going to put a zipper pocket on this side with just a zipper overlay. And then I'm going to leave the pocket open and my lining open just so it's easier to turn, because I did use vinyl and Decaville light, so it's quietly heavy interfaced, and I want to just make sure that I don't struggle too hard. You don't have to do it this way. You can just leave a hole in your lining and turn it through the lining if you wanted to, okay? Just a minute. I need to just get the edges of this real quick. It's got some fizzies. Beautiful. All right, so I have my placement. I did about 1.25 inches down from the top. I just was kind of guessing. It looks pretty good for me. Gonna line it up there, centered, centered. I'm gonna find a tag real quick and we will sew around that. All right, I found this cute little leopard print tag with a heart from Leslie over at Jolie Lee Creations. I'm just going to slide that under here. I think it goes perfect with my bag. Right there, very cute. All right, I'm going to go ahead and sew around this. I'm not pulling through my threads because it's black on black. I'm not going to worry about it. Let's make it simple, right? I think this wristlet would be super cute to make for craft fairs and stuff, or Christmas gifts, or it's going together really quick. It was a quick cutout. I'm really digging it, guys. Okay, and then you want to cut out this middle part here. Fabulous. All right, so I have my zipper, tape on both sides, zipper installed. I want it closing to the left. I'm just going to very carefully center that and fit it into my opening. Sometimes it works best if you just take off one side at a time. Sometimes you can do both. Up to you. So I'm going to center it along this bottom first, right there. Okay, and then I'm going to flip it up and line it along the top edge. Beautiful. Okay, that looks good. I'm happy with that. Okay, I have my pocket pieces here, tape along the top right side. I'm going to first place one piece along the edge of the bottom of the zipper, and we're going to sew the bottom edge of our overlay first. Okay, so I'm putting it going this way. Sorry for the barking dogs. Okay, so your pocket piece is going up. You should see the right side of your pocket coming out the top of your bag. I'm going to sew along the bottom edge, starting like one stitch before the opening and ending one stitch after. Again, I'm just back stitching. You cannot see the contrast of the thread, so. And so I sewed from here to here, which is here to here. All right, I like to put a piece of tape along this edge here. So when I fold down my pocket piece, it stays put and it's not flipping back up and into my way. Okay, I'm gonna flip this down. Press it right there. Okay, and then we're going to put this one and sandwich it on top. Right sides together. Just gonna line it up evenly on both sides here. Along that top edge of your zipper. So the back should be your zipper pocket pieces are right sides together. And we are now going to finish this sew around our opening. So we'll start here, come down, and we'll end here. I like it. Looks good. All right, so I'm just going to make sure that all of my little thread tails are melted. You don't want those sticking up. Okay. I am going to trim down my pocket pieces so they're even with each other real quick. Then I'm going to fold up the edges because again, I'm leaving my pocket open. Okay, I'm going to sew the sides shut, but not the bottom. Lift up my lining piece out of my way, and I'm going to sew along here. I like to trim that down. I'll trim this down a little bit. We don't need so much there. Melt. And do the other side. I'm coming in at an angle. It seems to help the bottom lay nicer when you close it up. Don't need to trim much of this. Ooh, I shouldn't have used these scissors. Oh well. Too late now. Too late. All right, all done. There is my zipper pocket. We got my slip pocket. Yay. Okay, so we're now gonna start piecing everything together. So I have my front panel here. I have my zipper. I put double-sided tape on each side of my zipper instead of on the panel pieces. And then I have all of my centers marked, everything. Typically you want your zipper starting left, pulling open to the right. So I'm going to start with this side so I know my zipper is on correctly. I'm going to take my zipper tape off the right side and I am going to center that right there onto my piece. Now, if you don't have tape and you don't like to use tape, you can just baste this instead of taping. That is an option, okay? I like to unzip it. Okay, and then I'm going to sandwich one of my lining pieces on top. So you need to think which lining piece you want up against your front panel. I want my slip pocket one sandwich. So I am going to take that piece, right sides together along the top here, centered, and tape that on. Beautiful. Beautiful. So I'm going to sew all the way across the top. I am going to top stitch just a little different than she has in the pattern. It's just my preferred way to do little wristlet pouches. So that again is just something that you kind of learn as you go, what you like and what you don't like. So I will show you. Okay, about right here, I'm going to grab my zipper pull, get it out of my way. Okay, so now we need to top stitch that. You can do one of two things. In the pattern, she has you folding it so your lining is out. You don't want your lining underneath your top stitch ever. When you're doing pouches, it will kind of trap it and it won't allow everything to lay nicely when you're all done. I know that sounds weird, but just trust me. Okay, in the pattern, she has you top stitching from end to end. I am only going to top stitch where my zipper is at because I want to be able to lay this seam right here flat for my end assembly. It just helps your corners kind of lay really nice. So I'm just going to start my top stitch and stop it along the zipper, lining laying out. Up to you. You don't have to do it this way. It's just my preferred method. Okay. All right, after you have that first side on, now we're going to flip this down and we're going to work on this other side. I'm going to take my main back exterior piece, lay my zipper right side down centered, and then we'll sandwich the lining on top of that. Where's my center? Right there. Okay. Halfway open my zipper. Centered. All right, and then we will repeat on this side. So before you sew this second side, make sure your lining pieces should be right sides together and your exterior pieces should be right sides together. All right. Okay, now same thing. Flip that lining out of the way and you're going to top stitch. Again, I'm just doing it along the zipper, totally up to you how you want to do it. Okay, so now you should have all your pieces connected, right? We want to attach our exterior to exterior and lining to lining. I'm going to clip those all together, making sure I'm going to flatten out this side seam here. And I'm going to leave this entire bottom open because I'm doing the double pull through. It works so much easier. If you don't have a zipper pocket and you're just pulling through the lining, then you need to go ahead and sew a little bit in right here and leave a hole from here to here. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and just start clipping all this. Lay this flat. I'm gonna use my metal clips for this so nothing shifts on me. Okay, and then I'm going to try and line up my bottom pieces here so that that accent piece is even. Okay, beautiful. Okay. I have this all clipped. What I'm going to do is you want a bigger seam allowance on your lining than on your exterior, so it's not baggy when you finish it all and push the lining in. So I'm going to start at this side with that bigger seam allowance and come up. When I get to just like a little bit before the top here, I will decrease that seam allowance to our normal one and go all the way down across and back up, and then increase my seam allowance up here. Up here. I don't know if you guys could see that. Sorry. So I'm starting down here. All right, here we go. I need to fix my seam allowance right here. I went a little too small. So I'm just going to start right here. It got a little bit moved, so I'm just fixing it. There we go. Beautiful. You know, she does do this a different way in the pattern. She has you sew this bottom edge first of the exteriors and then flatten that seam allowance. So that you can do that as well. Honestly, I forgot she did it that way and I just started doing it this way. So, yeah, that is a great way to do it as well. And you get a nice bottom seam if you flatten it out. All right, so once we come up to here, I'm going to be increasing that seam allowance again in just a minute. Okay, that's what we have so far. I'm just going to trim down this lining seam a little bit right here. That'll also help it fit in the bag nice. All right, I'm going to box my exterior corners and then I'm going to pull it through. You know, you could probably, I'm trying to think of this. Could you sew that and then top stitch it? You might be able to. I'm not sure. I would have to play around with that. Okay, so down here, I like to flatten these seams here for my exterior. I don't feel like it's as important for the lining what you do, but it lines up better if you flatten your seam as you sew it. Okay, I'm gonna sew this one first. Okay, I'm going to turn this right side out. You know, I'm going to take this to my hair dryer first, and I'm just going to hit it with some heat because it is vinyl and Decaville, and that really does help for me to be able to pull it all through. So I'm going to do that real quick, and then we'll finish turning this out. All right, I have it nice and hot here. I'm like, hurry, hurry, hurry. Oh, I could have heated it up more, I think. I'm just going to push this in so you can kind of see what we got. All right. All right, so this little corner here, you really need to, you know, it helps if you get like a chopstick and reach in between the layers and kind of really push that seam up and out here because you want it to lay nice, right? Like, take your time and just push the seam up. Okay, same with this one. This side's a little easier because you don't have the tab there. Squish. Oh, she's pretty. What a cute wristlet. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. How cute is that? All right, so last thing I need to do is close up the holes. So I'm going to reach in and I'm going to work this one corner just a little bit more here. There we go. Yes. Yes. There. Oh, that looks good. Okay. So I want to open my pocket. I'm going to pull my, oops, I just closed it. I'm going to pull my lining up and out. And pocket lining. And then I'm going to grab my main lining and pull that up and through the pocket. So now I can close up this lining completely and it'll have a nice clean finish on the inside of my bag. I won't have that weird seam visible. And then I'll close up my pocket lining because I don't really care what my zipper pocket lining looks like on the seam. But I like to have a nice seam on my main inside piece. Okay, so I'm going to sew along this with that increased seam allowance. We'll box these corners and then we'll close our zipper pocket. It's really cute. All right, and because we already did it, we don't have to worry about our strap. Ta-da! Yay! I love it. It is so cute. Okay, we're done. How gorgeous is that? I love it. And I actually do really like the Deck of a Light in it. I wouldn't change a thing. Wouldn't change a thing. Such a fun, quick little wristlet sew. It's unique. It's different. Highly recommend it, you guys. Highly recommend it. Go check out Shamballa Patterns, Alma Bonita. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'd really appreciate it. It helps me out. Let me know if you have any comments or questions. All right, we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.